Okay, guys, this is Eric Bullock, and this is my Chainwhip collection. So, Chainwhip is what they call a flexible weapon. It's a chain. Of course, it's flexible. One of the cool things about chains, people have been using them, pull your car, different uses for chains over the years that man has used. And it's so easy to conceal it. You know, it all just folds up, and you can put it in your pocket. You can wear it around your waist as a belt, you know, really concealable. So let's go down the collection a little bit here. In the beginning, with most people doing chainwhip, chainwhip is really heavy. So we have these super heavy 9-section whips from back in the day. We have 2 of them. They're identical. And super heavy whip. In the beginning, the whip, it needs to be heavy because you need to have a slow whip. Okay? Later on, we'll move up to a faster one. But this is the super heavy 9-section whips. One of my students actually made me this one talking about heavy chain whips. And this is like a log chain for the chain whip. This is like one of the heaviest chain whips I've ever seen in my life. You know, and man, if you hit anybody with it, that it would be over. You know. So then we move on, and this is what you get a lot of times when you order chain whips lately. Okay, there's this little weird, and if you count the links, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if you count the tip. Some of the companies don't count the links the same way. Some of them count the handle, some of them don't count the handle, some of them count the tip, some of them don't count the tip. So in the end, you don't always know exactly what you're going to get until you get it. So some experimentation on ordering chain whips will be involved. You know, trying to find, you know, the right company and the right type of chain whip. So here we're moving on to a lighter kind of a chain whip. And this is when I started getting a little bit faster, you know, spinning the chain whip. It's got a really good swivel on it, just like the old ones did. But it's a lot lighter. So when you start really trying to do things like doing butterfly kicks and doing, you know, really crazy moves with your chain whip, this is probably where you're going to end up going. Then we get on down here, and these are actually my double chain whips. And this set I've had for quite a while. I haven't tore one of them up for quite a while. And they're really small, very light. And that's when I went really light on the chain whip, is when I went to the double. Because the big giant, you know, I've got 2 9s that are heavy that match, but it's never going to work. Never going to work. And one of the major problems was the length of the whip. When you start doing all these broadsword spins and things, I would hit the ground. I'm short, you know, and it was inevitable. I would hit the ground with the big long whip. So I took these and took some bolt cutters and cut a link out, you know. So I custom made them, you know, to suit my height. And then I just put a, I don't know if you can see this. This is literally a key ring in there, and put it back together with that key ring. And this is what the swivel looks like, and very sharp little tip on the end. And also I have Master Cassie's double chain whips here too. Hers have a pink flag. And they're almost just like mine, but just a little bit different. The handles are a little bit smaller, but they're super fast and super awesome too. Now we get over here. This is interesting. Just a handle. So back in the old days when I was practicing, I saved this. Back in the old days, one of the chain whips just flew completely off and went down into the woods at my mom's, and we never could find it. It's probably hanging down there in a tree somewhere today. Here's another one that flew apart, and there's part of one that flew apart. I've saved a few of the pieces. This one doesn't have a handle, doesn't have a tip either. I think I've used it for parts or something like that. It's one that I'd broken. So if you know, the lighter chain whips, when you're, you know, acquiring that skill and going real fast and trying to learn how to do moves and stuff like that, you don't know how much the whip can take, and you're really pushing it. And I had a lot of them fly apart on me back in the day before I found some that would actually stay together and be able to do all those moves in front of a crowd, because you don't want your chain whip to fly apart and hit somebody in the crowd, you know. Then we move on down to some really interesting stuff. This chain whip purchased off Master Eric Smith, and it has a blade on the end of it. Very heavy chain whip. Doesn't have a swivel. There's some cat hair there. And very awesome chain whip, handmade chain whip from Master Eric Smith. Then some other cool items here. We have rope darts. This one's pretty big tip on that one. And of course the rope, you know, you wrap it all around you and shoot it out like a dart. It's kind of like, you know, the chain whip does it too. You can, it's almost like a throwing weapon, but you can get what you're throwing back again. You shoot it out and then you pull it back in. Here's another one, and this one's a little smaller and a little quicker. So that tip on that one's really going to be fast. So that's probably, you know, like this one's the beginner rope dart with the big heavy tip, and then move down to the quick light one with this one. And then down here on the end, this is a actual fire whip, and I bought this. The whip is a regular whip, like one of the other medium weight whips, but the tip here is actually Kevlar, and it's, you know, packed very, very tightly. It's got cat hair on it for my cat, but kerosene is usually what I use, or lighter fluid or something like that. And keep a fire blanket on hand and wet yourself down. If you play with fire or anything like that, be very careful with children around, anything like that. You know, make sure you're extremely good with your chain whip before you ever do anything like that. If the chain wraps around your head and the fire, you know, you really hurt yourself bad. So don't do that. Also, in the beginning, a lot of you guys might just like to have a tennis ball on a string instead of an actual chain whip. And if you don't have that, get something and cover the tip of your chain whip, because it's going to knock your brains out. You're definitely going to feel it. Your ankles, your knees, your elbows, your head, it's going to hit you all over your body. Chain whip will create the need to do the technique correctly. Sometimes you can make a mistake with other types of weapons, or make a mistake empty-handed doing your forms, but you may not know it. But with the chain whip, you're instantly going to know you've made a big mistake. Hope you guys enjoyed my collection, and I hope you enjoy learning chain whip and watching the videos of me doing the chain whip. I want to give a shout out to my teacher, Master Bill Leonard and Grandmaster Sin, and got to say something about Master Gary Mullins. Master Gary Mullins really inspired me when I was young to do the chain whip. So thank you to Master Gary and to his family, and thank all of you guys, and I hope you enjoy the video.